Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick Curtis, Chief Monkey of Wall Street Oasis, and this is Monkey to Millions, a show where you get a front row seat as I mentor young students and professionals to try and help them break into their dream jobs. In the first cohort, you'll meet 4 students, all preparing for intense job interviews while trying to also balance a personal life and schoolwork. The goal of this show is to shine a light on the struggles of trying to break into competitive positions with a non traditional background and to give you a roadmap for your own success. My hope is that as you get to know these 4 impressive students, you are inspired to dream big. Remember, these are real people and this is their true story. Let's get to it. In this session, we take a moment to celebrate the fact that Grace has already landed a summer internship in IB after her freshman year. We talk about getting more aggressive now that she has a bit more time to breathe on networking, as well as potential early recruiting programs she'll be targeting at larger investment banks. But first, hear from Grace over the previous few weeks leading up to this session.
Hello, so this week I had my interview at the boutique investment bank here in the city, Berkeley Noyes, and the interview went very well, and I received the offer for the spot. So next week I'll go in 1 or 2 days while the current intern in this group is still there to get everything set up, and then it'll officially start in the spring semester or in January. And then this week is the last week of classes for the semester before finals start next week. So I'm very busy with lots of final papers and assignments, but I also have a few coffee chats and other phone calls this week. So overall, a busy but productive week. Hello, so today was the first day of my internship. I won't really start until the spring, but I went in today and I'll also be going in on Wednesday just to start learning the ropes of everything from the current intern whose spot I'll be taking since this is his last week in the office. And it went well, all the people seem really nice, so I'm excited to be starting there. And this week I also have finals starting on Thursday, going through the middle of next week. So it's a very busy week with lots of studying and finishing up some final papers. So this week is a continuation of finals, and then on Thursday I'll be going back home for winter break, and then I'll have a lot more time to put toward networking, but otherwise this past week I've just been spending most of my time on studying, so nothing else really new. So this is my second week of winter break, and in addition to seeing a lot of friends and family, I've had the time to put into networking and doing a little bit of work for my internship, as well as just generally getting myself organized and ready for the second semester.
All right, so it looks like you had winter break. Or you're still in the middle of winter break, or you're going back on Monday?
No, I have one more week.
Oh, that's awesome.
January 11th, I think.
That's a long break, isn't it?
It's actually shorter than most of my friends.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So how many weeks? It's 2 full weeks, or?
2 or closer to 3, I guess.
Awesome. So you're just staying home, seeing family.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's been good.
Nice. Well, so last time we chatted, so if you can just give me an update, like last time you had secured the internship. Super exciting. Congrats.
Thank you.
And then, so is the idea now, so that's set up for your freshman summer. So you're basically going to be doing that right after classes end, or how does that work in terms of timing?
So I'm starting in this semester, actually. I'll be going in 1.5 days a week.
That's right.
During this semester, and then full-time during the summer.
Okay. And so it starts right up after, like in May, after you're done kind of with the year, with the classes and finals?
Well, I went in a few days in December, and then I've been doing a little bit of work remotely over break too. And then I'll be going into the office when I get back to school.
So you've already started work for them?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, once you do like a month or 2 more, or like probably another month, it'd be great to get an updated resume.
Okay.
with just a few bullets on specifically the type of stuff you're doing, even if it's like market research, or is that the type of stuff you're doing for them?
Not exactly, but I'm still getting a sense of what the majority of the time is going to be spent doing.
So were you surprised that you got it, given that you're a freshman?
Kind of. I mean, the interview was good, so yeah, I was surprised.
Were they kind of surprised that you were prepared as a freshman? Did they say anything?
I'm not
No?
sure. I only interviewed with one person, so it
Okay.
was hard to get a sense, and it wasn't that long of an interview
Right.
either.
Okay. That's great. And so it's you and one other, or just you for the summer?
So I'm the only intern on my team, but there's 3 other Fordham interns there right now, and one person from Dartmouth also.
Okay. And so you're going to basically be going through the summer, and then does it tend to be a thing where they give you another offer to come back after your sophomore year, or how does it, or do the people tend to progress up to other banks?
Most people stay about a year. I think they've had a few people who start interning maybe in their sophomore or junior year and then end up working there full time after.
Okay.
But I think so. I'm the youngest intern they've ever hired, but the only other person they've hired, I think, started in their freshman, like right after their freshman summer,
Hmm.
stayed for a year, and then he started interning somewhere else.
Got it. So like that means for the sophomore summer, they were somewhere else. And is
Yes.
that kind of your thing? Like, I think it'd be good to get to a slightly larger shop if possible
hmm
for your sophomore summer, if you can do that, especially now that
hmm
you have, I think this is going to give you a huge advantage as you're networking in the
hmm
spring and through the summer. You're still going to be in New York, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a huge advantage just being there. It's going to be awesome.
hmm Right.
You're going to know so many people by the end of your summer. It's gonna be like, you're going to be so sick of the coffee chats and all of that stuff. It'll be good. It'll be good.
hmm
You'll learn a lot too. You'll like really get a sense of what each job is like. And that
Right.
should be the
hmm
goal for you. It's really, you're so young that yes, you want to make a good impression, but you should really be asking the questions that you want the answers to, not the questions
hmm
you think they want you to ask too,
hmm
especially for the younger people you're networking with. Instead of trying to always look so polished, it's okay to ask, what you'd consider potentially dumb, not stuff you can
hmm
Google, but questions that, what's it really like in this specific group,
hmm
in terms of like, are there certain MDs that are good to work with, other MDs that are tough?
hmm
Because as you kind of get through your sophomore year, that could be it. You could be, go through sophomore summer and they could be like, we want to extend you like full time. The way accelerated recruiting is happening,
hmm
it's not out of the question that after, in your sophomore year, as you head into kind of sophomore summer, that could turn into your full-time gig.
Right.
So
hmm
I think it's important before you kind of get locked down. You're going to be like 20, 21 before you get locked down into a specific bank, that you kind of,
hmm
you do your research. Because if they're smart, they'll lock you down early.
hmm
But I want to make sure that's right for you.
Yes.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
so that's why it's good I'm doing this, get
It's
an
great.
idea of
Yeah,
what
it's
I
great you're
really
doing
want.
this because you're there. You can talk with a lot more people all summer. Hopefully, it doesn't eat into too much of your time for school, for other stuff, for your
hmm
other just networking. Because you want to have fun too. It's not like you're never going to be able to go back to college. So,
Right.
so it's like if you're doing clubs and you're doing networking and you're doing interviews and work on the side, it can quickly get really overwhelming. So, um, now that you have that, you don't need to be going. Now that you have that internship, you don't need to be going like every second of every day has to be perfectly optimized. I think,
hmm
taking break over this winter, a few days just to completely decompress, I think is really smart.
Right.
Okay. So I think you sent me a file, or you sent me a Google Doc that had some interview stuff in there. Is that correct?
I think we'd started that the last time we talked or the time before that.
And I think I requested access. Maybe it was sent to the wrong one, but
hmm
if you could send that to me, because I'd love to go through that.
Yeah, I think I resent it.
You did. Okay. Was that today?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll take a look. Let's see. Or can you shoot the link over maybe in the chat right here?
hmm Yes. Let me find
Here's the chat.
that. Okay.
Did I? Yeah, I think I did look. I started looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is good. Yeah, because you have a for example on each of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is great. Greatest strength, consistently top of your work. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think these are good. Do you have other story one that you started?
Right. There was that.
So this has some of that because you said, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing on these four examples, you're giving an example of like kind of how you work. Like you never have to do
Mm-hmm.
this because you're consistently on top of your work instead of giving somebody a vivid example, like a
Mm-hmm.
specific example. So for example, um, I had finals with this on this past year, this past semester, and blah, 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 blah. More like a specific week, give them like an actual picture of a real time or a real project
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, this is how I work. And so I'm fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Does
I
that make
think
sense?
that, yes, I think we had worked on that before we started talking about the stories. I just sent the stories
I just requested
document.
access on the other email.
Okay.
Sorry. I always ask for the Gmail one because I'm always logged in there. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for this one, so the common interview questions, that's great to have. Yeah, we had done that. You're right. And then we had kind of done this other one with the stories, right? You had started that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and
And
I think
so,
you had looked at that once.
yeah, so let me, here it is. Okay. This is perfect. So attention to visual appeal. I think you meant detail.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. This is great. So I'll look through this because I think this is going to be this star story thing. So you got one, two. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of 5
Mm-hmm.
stories here.
Or yeah.
Teamwork skills. Do you have ones with like struggles or conflict?
I don't. None of these fit into that
So I think
really.
you need at least one like
Mm-hmm.
that. You need to
Okay.
think of a time you had a conflict with your boss, with a group member. Doesn't mean you were like fighting, but it could
Mm-hmm.
mean like a disagreement.
Okay.
Something that because if you get asked that in the interviews next year,
Right.
um, you want to kind of have that story really locked down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So think of that and think of because you said detail oriented. So yeah, I may do some editing here or ask you questions. I'll go through this today
Okay.
um, and just try to kind of dig in a little bit and then I think it might make sense for us on our next session to actually go through this and I'll
Okay.
ask questions that kind of ideally prompt you to tell the story
Okay.
because practice makes perfect and actually
Mm-hmm.
going through it instead of just
Right.
reading it out, actually saying it and hearing yourself. And that'll give me some good potential advice of how to frame it potentially differently. But I think before we do that, let
Okay.
me go through it and I'll leave comments and ask more detailed questions to try and pull out a little bit more of the
Okay.
nuance because how you tell a story is actually really an art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a real skill that can make your interview a lot more memorable and make you
Mm-hmm.
really feel like you're the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. So it's good to see you did that. You are on top of your stuff. You're diligent. So okay. So I guess going into this winter break, you said I looked at your updates. You said you were doing some networking and stuff. Can you tell me how that's going?
That's been good. So I updated the LinkedIn as you'd recommended with the sales navigators like for the more detailed searches, and that's been really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been reaching out to a lot of people that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean nothing
Are you
huge.
focusing mostly on like boutiques there in the
Yeah,
market?
mostly smaller firms right now, and then some people that are originally from Baltimore too,
Mm-hmm.
and now work in New York, and kind of finding that connection. So there's been a lot of people that way too.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to get some great, and now that you're, especially once you get your resume updated, as you're doing,
Mhm.
which is good, you're doing work. Like that means by this summer, even before you start full time, you're going to have a resume with banking experience on it already.
Mhm.
And so as you approach and you let them know I'm currently working through Fordham, blah, blah, blah. Are they paying you, by the way?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, good. Um, so as you're working through that networking, as you're working towards before even the full time, you're going to start actually being able to send out resume
Mhm.
with stuff on there, which is going to make the hit rate even higher.
Mhm.
Um, and so really then I think you can get more aggressive in terms of who you're reaching out to, how senior they are, and not, I mean,
Okay.
you can do that now, but
Mhm.
um, I think almost better to just try and keep the hit rate high and keep your network growing. What are you up to
Mhm.
now on connections on
I think around 370.
370? Okay, so I mean, I think you can get a lot more aggressive. You have
Mhm.
the sales nav. Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
like just connect with anyone and everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of people who I'm gonna be sending messages to. I didn't want to be sending messages like the day after Christmas, though.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you can do up to 100 a day LinkedIn
Okay.
requests. And I'm not saying you have to do 100 a day, but there are several thousand bankers,
Mhm.
10,000, 20,000 bankers in Manhattan alone, probably.
Right.
So I'm not saying you need to be connected to all those people, but several thousand of them would be great
Okay.
before the end of this year, before the end of 2020, because
Mhm.
by that point, you're going to be going into your sophomore summer, and then, like I said, like that could be the people you're connected to from that outreach. Could be one of those people. Could be the connection that bridges you to your full time offer.
Mhm.
So
And I've
cool.
been looking into some of the freshman insight programs. Most of them are the diversity type programs that a few banks have. So if I can get into a few of those for this spring, that would be helpful too.
And remind me on those. It's like a 2 or 3 day program, like where you go.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right. They're usually 2 or 3 days, and
yeah,
you just go in and you get to meet a lot of the people there.
yeah. It's a great way. It is to accelerate your networking into a specific bank. But yeah, they get pretty aggressive. They get, if they like you and you're in one of those sessions, they can get pretty aggressive and quickly like offer you an internship.
Oh
You may
yeah.
be you may be surprised. They may try to actually get you for freshman summer or like already offer you a sophomore summer
Hmm.
internship.
I know several people, Fordham people, who have done it their freshman year at Goldman, and then they interned sophomore summer, junior summer, and got the full time through
All three
doing that.
years.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we never know. That might actually come to play. So we'll cross that bridge if it comes to it. But um, I think that would be a no brainer for you
Hmm.
to take
So
that.
I'm still waiting to hear back, like the Goldman one I applied to a while ago, but
Okay. Yeah.
that's
When
not
do
till
you?
March or April.
In terms of diversity recruiting and early recruiting, is it just being is female? Is that enough to kind of allow you to apply to those?
Some of them. So there's more
Hmm.
of the like racial ethnicity based ones,
Hmm.
but there are some like Goldman's is women. I think RBC does one for women.
Okay.
Standard Chartered, UBS.
Perfect. Okay. Very cool. Well, yeah. Use any leverage you can, any chance
Mm-hmm.
you get to try and get that internship. Um,
Right.
but I'm super excited for you either way. You're on a great track. I think. Any questions in terms of? I think now is kind of a quiet time,
Mm-hmm.
vacation and everything, so it doesn't have to be a long session. But any questions you have from me in terms of how I can help or be helpful? I think
I don't think so at this point.
I think really we can do a lot of work. I think you should definitely be being more aggressive on LinkedIn right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you, I'll keep pushing you to kind of increase your connections there and increase
Right.
your outreach, because there's nothing stopping you from at least making that initial connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, because then if you do that, when you have something to update people, you have a larger set of people to update.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of it being 100 people or 300 people, you're updating 500 people, 700 people.
Right.
Sounds crazy, but it can make a big difference in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the
Just getting your
opportunity.
name out there.
Yeah, the opportunities available to you. Oh yeah, well we,
Mm-hmm.
we have an opening and we'd love to have you. And all of a sudden you have like 4 or 5 offers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, trying to think what else. So Yeah, in terms of just networking, I would say just keep focusing on that and be more aggressive in terms of the number of people you're connecting with.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like, I mean, especially now that you have a sales navigator, you can kind of have a template connection form. So you reach out to, you do a certain filter and you know kind of what the connection is, whether it's Maryland,
Oh, okay.
Baltimore. And so then you're like, hey, I noticed you're furnishing from Maryland. Now you're in New York, or, you know, you're working, thinking it'd be great to connect and potentially chat down the line. So it doesn't have to even be like trying to get a conversation right then and there. It's more just establishing that connection now.
Okay.
And then maybe reaching out when you have more time.
Okay.
In the summer, maybe, and then maybe we can meet up in the summer, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing a lot of break too, is reaching out over emails to the people that I connected with maybe a month or two ago.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, that's good. You've gotten it up to 370. I think when we started, it was 100 something, or it was pretty low.
Yeah, just around 100.
Yeah. So that's great. No, I'm not trying to say you're not doing a great job. You are. I just think it's literally the most important thing to determine. It's like the one thing that can determine where you end, like where you end up is just who you know.
Right.
That's it. Because if you're have all the other stuff, which is very much in your control in terms of interview skills and all that, it's just who you know. This determines where you are. So,
That's good.
Great. Anything else that I can be helpful with in terms of? I'll look through these stories that you have for the interviews to see how they sound, and then maybe next time, if you can remind me, let's do a call where we actually almost like a little mock interview where you tell me each story and go through it. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds good.
I know you'll be back in school,
Yes.
so you'll be a little busier, but you don't have to do a lot of prep. Maybe just the hour before the call, just go through them in your head so that you feel fresh, and then we'll just walk through them, and then I'll give you some feedback after. Because I think if we can do that once now and then once before the summer, to do it, early February, and then we do it again maybe early May or early June, right before you have all these coffee chats.
Right.
I think it'll be really good.
Okay.
To just help make sure you're completely polished for the any serious interviews.
Right. Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Well, enjoy your winter break.
Thank you.
And if anything comes up in between now and next month or whatever, just shoot me an email or a chat, and we'll get on the phone.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Grace. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye. And thanks to you, my listeners at Wall Street Oasis. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to send them my way, patrick@wallstreetoasis.com. And until next time.